This week in art, we're going to learn about graphic novel page design to help you with a science project in Mr. Dudar's class. You are going to be telling a story about science, and we can learn a lot from graphic novel designers that work with any subject. So, on this first slide here, I want you to see two important things that will make your page design interesting. The first is layout. So this is a really simple layout with 4 frames with borders alternating just a little bit. So there's a border here, and then we go a little bit to the left right here. Now these frames are read left to right, like we're reading. Another thing that is important about this page is perspective. So this one page of a graphic novel is showing some close views and some far away views. There are different angles of the subjects shown. It's not just the same characters in the same position in each frame, which is pretty boring. So we've got a kind of middle of the road view here. We've got 3 characters, one's cut off a little. Then we zoom in, we get kind of close because the focus is on this guy. Now we've got all these characters in a different view coming in behind these fish. And this is another view. So it makes it interesting for your eye to see something a little bit different in each frame. All right, now this layout, how the frames are on the page, is probably the simplest. This is in a grid, so 9 boxes, all with even borders. And this page tells a story without any text. You will probably use text in your graphic novel page, but I wanted you to see how there are different perspectives in each one of these frames. This is from below, this is from above the character, this is a zoom in on the hand. Then we've got a view of the face really up close, another view from behind. So we're bouncing around to different angles, and it makes it really interesting for our viewer. Now, here's a little guide for layouts. This is the basic grid. Definitely good to start here, where you've got a couple boxes and they're all lined up nice and easy. If you want to get a little fancier, you can play with the widths of your frames. If you want to change the row height, that can make it interesting for the eye as well. This is where we get really fancy, or we're changing the width and the number of frames in each row. The bigger panels, like this one, will show key or important parts of your story. Now, if you want to get really fancy, you can try some advanced layouts. Advanced layouts change the angle of the frame so they won't be just straight across the page, and they'll change the direction that your eyes move. Here's one example where we're changing the number of frames and how they're situated, how they're laid out on the page. We've got a lot of interior frames, so one frame within another. We're playing with some very wide and skinny frames. We've got some frames that overlap or have a little border around them. In this one, we change the angle of the frames so it's not just straight across the page. And in this last one, we're changing the direction of your eye. So instead of moving from left to right, we're moving diagonally across the page. Okay, so today I want you to just get a little practice in designing your own graphic novel page. You will be creating one large artwork together as a class for your graphic novel. But I want you to see how you can use Google Drawings to make a graphic novel page layout and see what kinds of things you can do with the frames to make it kind of interesting. So this is one that I worked on, and how I did this was, first I'm going to go to Google Drawings. So how you're going to do this is when you go to Google Drive, you're going to click New. You're going to scroll down to More, and Google Drawings will be right there. Now you'll come to a blank canvas. Now, your best friend tools for this project are going to be the shape. So you can choose any number of shapes for your frame here. Try to start simple with just a rectangle. And you're also going to click View, and you're going to click Snap to Grid. And that's going to help you to line up your boxes really easily. So I'm going to start with my first box here, and I'm going to change it to be white. And I can also change the border weight to make it look like a graphic novel. I can change it to around 3 pixels. So there's my first box. Now, if I Control C that box, Control V, I'm going to get one just like it. I can move it over, and I want a nice border in between. Now, this is going to be really small, so I know I'm going to need to work with my shapes to get them to fit on my canvas. I can change the width of the boxes. I can even use the arrow keys to move these around if I need to. I can resize them with the corner box. I can add another one, try to fit it into that edge and make it so that it fits nicely. Okay, now you can make your grid however you'd like it to be. Try to make your borders nice and neat so that they're kind of even in between. On this one that I made 2 boxes that flow from here to here, then a long frame, and then your eye would move to here and go down to the final really long and skinny frame. So once you've got your frames laid out, you can start designing what's inside the frame. So here's one that I filled in. Now, yours will be much better than mine and much more informative, but try to use your pictures and your words to tell your story clearly. So in my first frame, I used this important tool. This is the scribble tool. And if this is not here already, you can click Insert, go down to Line, and Scribble. And now what this is going to do is it's going to help you to draw. I would use 2 fingers to use this instead of 2 fingers on either hand instead of these 2. It's just a little easier to click and drag, and you can draw whatever it is that you'd like to draw. And it'll neaten up your lines a little bit so that they're nice and clean. Now, I used that tool for most of this drawing. You could also use the shape tools to help you to draw certain things like these planets aligning. In the shape box, there's also these call outs, which you can use to add some speech bubbles. And you can mess with how the speech bubble is oriented by using this little yellow dot. You can add a text box to add some text. You can play with the font size and the boldness, and just try to practice a little bit with this today and see what you can come up with. We'll be working more with this in the future. Good luck.